Alright, what's going on? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to this year-ended day episode. As I said, I started this thing. Now, I'm unclear if the May 3rd date is the day I started the podcast or the day I started monetization, but I can't go past that date. So, to me, that tells me that I don't have any recordings past that date, and therefore that is the beginning date. So, although I'm not necessarily going to be exploring anything. Well, I'm exploring something new, but yeah. So anyways, this introduction is just to say that. So if you have been somebody who's been tuning into me since, the beginning, since you found my channel early last year, either in May or June or July, or even if it was just a month ago, you started listening to the podcast and or my YouTube channel, I appreciate you. I appreciate all 5 followers I have on here, which, it was 3 not that long ago, and then 4 not that long ago, and now it's 5 here on Spreaker, so that's awesome. My Tumblr, which I upload all my videos and podcasts to, has been growing. I have something like 8 or 9 subscribers to me that I subscribe also back to, which is something I said before. If you subscribe to me, I will return the favor, so, feel free to reach out, subscribe if you want to, but you don't have to. And, I'm fine either way, but and YouTube, I think today I saw it was at 23, so it was at 22. Now it's at 23. So I'm very humbled and blessed and thankful that I'm able to put out this stuff, and I people seem to enjoy it. As you can tell by the picture of the podcast, I put on some statistics from my in my speaker account. Some of it's just the basic information. Shows the 3 podcasts and the number of downloads, which adds up to the 9,600 and some, which went up significantly because it was at 9,500 yesterday when I checked. And then I showed, I think it was April 6th where I had 200 and some downloads. And I think that's the week of April 6th, not just the date. And then there's another one on there as well with total downloads and in the top, then 2 other numbers, and then followers at the bottom. So just to, just so people don't think I'm lying, and I'm not bragging about this because this is not huge numbers. There's some people out there that would just, their numbers in one day would destroy what I did in a year. But nonetheless, I'm still thankful for that. And like I said in a podcast, I don't know how long ago, if I was doing this to become popular and try to make money, then I wouldn't be doing it on this subject matter. I'd have a better chance with just truth or conspiracy stuff, and or just trying to record myself doing some skateboarding tricks and shit like that, and or any DIY shit around the house, creating something. So this is not why I'm doing it, because this stuff, and I truly believe that you do not throw pearls before swine, 100%, and that's why, like I said, I've created my own servitor to protect from those who would be considered swine, also known as pigs, also known as ignorant, uninformed, and unwilling, know-it-all humans. And I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm just saying that some of the characteristics, not all, of what I refer to when I say swine. And it's not their fault. I was a pig, swine, uninformed, arrogant, ignorant, know-it-all at one point as well, and probably a really bad one. So that's not out of disrespect or me judging. It just is what it is. People can't get past their belief systems, their bullshit, so that's what ends up happening. But anyways, so today what I want to speak of, what I'm going to be speaking of, what you're going to hear, is a wide variety of things, and it's going to be the introduction to me exploring about the brain. Now I'm going to take occult and change it into occult sciences and connect magic and witchcraft and the using of the subconscious mind to the actual parts of the brain. Now today is a simplistic version, breaking down the brain into 3 layers, being the brainstem, the limbic, and then the neocortex, and maybe explaining what they do and playing some quote-unquote experts explaining exactly where some of the information I got, their version of it, and what these things do. The brainstem being the oldest and the first part of the human and all animal brains, well, anything that has a brain basically. So obviously maybe trees and insects don't have a brain like we have. Maybe they have it somewhere else. Maybe it's a consciousness that, is floating somewhere around them that they tap into. Who knows? But and the neocortex being the newest part of the brain, and still in evolvement. Now, there's some fascinating things about that, meaning if someone's neocortex is bigger or smaller, it tells you specific information about the person. And the neocortex talks to the limbic and talks to the reptilian, or no, the brainstem. Well, reptilian mind. That is the reptilian mind, by the way, is their brainstem. The oldest one we have is the reptilian mind, and the next one would be the emotional, would be the limbic, and then the upper would be your cortex, which is, Neo. Wake up, Neo. Neo, wake up from the fucking Matrix. And that's actually what started all this. When I was watching Infinite Waters, he was saying, Neo, wake up. Red pill, blue pill stuff, talking about that. And then I was like, neocortex. Wonder if there's something there. Wonder if and then I started looking into it, and my body started getting really hot, which is always a sign of what? There you go. Now you got an extra thing, baby. Oh, I don't know. You don't want that there? All right. Sorry about that. Help my daughter with her game. But anyways, so that's what I think at the very end I start diving into is the brain and the functions and what's what. Now, like I said, and you'll hear me say it later on, the subconscious mind is and isn't both a part of this. There's things in your mind that are attached, obviously, that would be considered subconscious mind, but it's also not even within the brain. That's very hard to explain, but that's what I'll be making a case for probably in my next episodes on YouTube and the next podcast that I put out on here. But yeah, I also wanted to mention something about Beltane, because Beltane just happened, and I hope everybody enjoyed their time and danced around the maypole. And wait a minute, we're all stuck inside, we can't do that. That's fucking bullshit. But anyways, kind of a shitty time of year considering Beltane, where there's still some, maybe Irish, Scottish, maybe places overseas, not so much where I am in Canada, but there are still people that have religions that are more like what we would call witchcraft, that celebrate these things and take them very seriously. Beltane being a time of year where, you would have a fire and give offerings to different nature spirits and earth spirits, water spirits, whatever. So, for fire spirits, and, to try to make sure that you don't, keep disease away, make your crops grow, protect your animals, your family, you know what I mean? It's the beginning of spring. The maypole is probably, most certainly, is a phallic, a springtime phallic that we dance around. I think Bircha has a video about how we're basically dancing around the penis of God. But, nonetheless, we're thankful for God's penis and Mother Nature's vagina for creating us. Therefore, let's celebrate it. And, this year everybody was inside, and not being able to do the things they did. Now, I did a symbolic representation on my altar and visualized myself doing something outside. So, me and my family will be protected. And if you haven't done such, and you're supposed to, just like on Halloween, maybe you're supposed to put out the dumb supper, you're supposed to put out a plate of food for your ancestors, otherwise your ancestors can come back and fuck with you. Well, if you haven't done so, maybe you should do the same thing for Beltane. This is why on full moons and solstices and equinoxes and the Beltanes and Samhains, this is why we do things. It's 8 times a year that we, say thanks, and Thanksgiving comes. Anyways, it's important to do these symbolic rituals to sync up with nature. It's not nature. It's not necessary, but it's definitely very, very helpful. And if it's your first time, then don't sweat it. Maybe do some research, figure out when all the 8 special days of the year are for witches, and should be for everybody. And give back, thanks, gratitude. It'll do a world of good for you and everybody around you. But anyway, so the reason I'm getting into the neocortex is because I want to teach more in-depthly, because it's one thing to just say, we can heal our own bodies by visualizing what we want, adding emotion, and it'll be so. but how does this actually work within your brain? And it can be explained in a medium to easy way of understanding it, even if you don't study any kind of anatomy, biology, science of the body, brain, neurology, neurology, plasticity, what the fuck's that word? Anyways, the neurons in your brain and all these things, it can be made very complicated, and that's definitely true. And if you have a hard time wrapping your mind around some of these concepts, these big long words, these things within your brain, then it might be a little hard to understand this. But I'm going to do my best to give correspondences to relate this to something else, because one thing I do know is as above, so below. As below, so above. So even though your brain is a complex organ in your body, there's something else that's just as complex that we don't perceive as complex, and then thus I can call on that to describe the brain and accurately give you an accurate representation of how this works. So yeah, stay tuned. This episode touches on it a bit, but my next few episodes are going to be way more in depth and very helpful, from everything from healing to why the coronavirus is this mass thought form trying to infect our brains, or a test to see how we could be affected. And yeah, so that's the intro, and now back to the regular scheduled program, Ceremonial Witchcraft. A whole year and a day initiation has been done, and now my channel is ready to take off and get to the next level. So thank you to all who's always tuned in and downloaded and commented and all that stuff, and to the few that have left donations a while ago, thank you very much. I really appreciated it, even though one of them I did turn down from a child, but I appreciated the sentiment. And yeah, thank you to all who listen, and have yourselves a great fucking day and enjoy the fucking show.
Alright, what's going on, everybody? You know what it is. Put on my episodes yesterday, I think 2, or one the day before, one the next, no, both yesterday, one, anyways, so just so everybody knows, first day back at work was on Monday. Today will be my 3rd day, holy fuck, today will be my 3rd day working. So if you're wondering why things are slowing up, this is why things are slowing up, preparing to go back to work, and now I'm back working. We're essential, and like I said before, my essential service is now back up and running. Our furnace is now fixed, so the frequency of which these videos are happening may slow down, it may not, who knows. That's sorry, fucking thing was bugging me. So I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm not slowing up just because I'm being a procrastinator and shit like that. But that's always part of it. But anyway, so I put out some information. The newest information I put out was about Watchers. And Watchers is something that's always fascinated me, and something I always like talking about. The Gregory, egregores, all that. In the second episode I put out on my podcast yesterday, I played a lot of people's different information about whether it was calling the Watchers, whether it's about archons and Watchers in the Bible, whether it's comparing them to the deities and the egregores, the Gregory, whatever the case is. I put a bunch of different opinions about the subject, and one being one of these girls, I can't remember her name, how she calls the Watchers to it, and then Uncle Birch's version of calling it to it, and then I had what it said in the Book of Enoch, then I have what it said in the Bible, then David Icke's view, and Epiphany Lecture's view of egregores, Watchers, what he said at Super Bowl, and what he says when he's talking about Beyonce, self-deification. Self-deification is whenever you pick a deity to be like us. In the beginning of my podcast, I said, and even on the video now on Instagram, I say, I don't worship shit. I respect, I honor these beings, these deities, these gods. I use them all, I honor them, but I don't worship anything. This is not a religion of worshiping anything. Well, it's not religion, really. But the point of this is the difference that separates us from organized religion and spirituality. And this is the main reason I'm trying to get awareness into magic and witchcraft into the it's not like my main focus, but one of the things I want to do is get this kind of awareness about the magics and the witchcrafts into the new age and the law of attraction communities, because they're dealing with the same stuff. Okay, they're doing the same things, trying to use your mind to bring stuff to you. Okay, you're trying to attract things using your mind. We're using psychology, and all this is embedded within the magical witchcraft. These communities, these things that these are spiritual guidelines. Let's just say, and then we have a specific kind of structure. And I'm not telling anybody to adopt this kind of structure by any means, but I do want people to adopt the way of thinking, being that I thought Christianity. Okay, whether I'm right or wrong about this is irrelevant. Okay, but these, at one point in time, and this is something I've come to, and a lot of people have come to, all these gods and deities, Mars and Venus, to Jesus Christ and God of the Bible, to Allah, to Moses, and all these different figures. Okay, across time, were thought forms that were created by human beings. Now, you can take on the Jesus Christ thought form just like you can take on the Mercury Venus thought form. You can take on Hecate, or even Satan or Lucifer if you'd like, which might be the same as Venus. But you can take those thought forms on, and it will teach you something. You'll gather the information that was attached to that, and it'll help expand your mind. And now you've taken on that deity. This is self-deification. This is one of those things that you do when you start witchcraft. You pick a deity, but you don't really know what you're doing it for. But when you do this process, it helps. You gotta think of it as like you have your MacBook or your laptop, and all it has on there is your operating system, which is either Mac. It's either the iOS, or it's the newest version of Windows, or whatever you're running. But now you want to add all these different applications, all these different softwares, all these different things to run it. You want all your apps on there, right? Well, you are the laptop, the computer, and then your Corey LeBlanc, your name, whatever it is your operating system. Well, I guess it'd be more like your subconscious is your operating system. And Corey LeBlanc is the only app you have on there, or I have on here. And then when I start doing magic and witchcraft, every deity I've ever called upon, every deity I've ever used is a new app that I downloaded, and I can do stuff through that app. So I downloaded Venus, okay? And Venus is one of the first ones I've used because of the whole Taurus, and the moon would be another version of that, and these are energies within your body as well, so that plays on it. So it's like these are apps that are compatible with your software already, so it makes using them very easy. Plus the days of the week, everything is here to show us that this is what you should be doing. It's that they can't just tell you that, because if they told you that, you'd be like, well, fuck you, I'm not going to do it. Kind of like the way when they push Christianity on everybody, and now everybody's saying, fuck you, we're not going to believe in that shit. But that's another story. Point of this is the things we worship as gods were things that were created to help us learn and evolve. There is a collective consciousness, there's a collective unconscious. When you create a thought form, it goes into the collective unconscious. Okay? Now, if you want to believe this, that's your choice, but there's a lot of smarter people that have written many books about this, from psychologists to theologians to historians to scientists to anybody doing neuroplasticity or neuroscience, science of the brain. They've written books about this collective unconscious, and it's a phenomenon that you can't necessarily put it in a microscope and look at it, but with all the data collected, you can basically over time realize that this is true. And this is the reason all our movies end up being the same theme over and over and over again, because the stories we know, the stories that are deep within us, that the 7 chakras, they all have a story. These deities, these gods, they all have a story, an origin story, whatever attached to them. Well, these are the stories we play out depending on what mood we're in, what vibration we're in, however you want to say it. Your lower chakras and your higher chakras are using all fucking 7. Well, then you might have, when the Avengers all get together. But at first you're doing one Avenger at a time, right? You're doing the root, and then you're doing the fucking sacral, and then you're doing the solar, and then you're doing the fucking heart, and then you're doing the throat, and then you're doing the fucking third eye, and then you're doing the crown, and then you're doing all the Avengers together, going after one fucking bad guy. Then it's the 7 against the zodiac. Those are all your enemies. The 12 7. And some of those 7 get sacrificed and killed and shot the fuck out and whatever. But anyways, point is, these things, this is what you do. We don't believe in one God. We believe in many gods. And a lot of people misconstrue that to say, well, it's because you believe the days of the week as gods and you believe in all these gods. And let them think that. But that's horse shit. That's not what we do. We don't just believe in a bunch of random gods. It's not. Our religion isn't as simple as here's the Bible, this is what I believe in. This fucking God, all these guys did stuff, this is history, this is fact, and this is what we believe in. It's not that fucking simple. It's not even like that whatsoever. Not for me anyways. The gods we believe in are the things that can help us evolve. And it's not necessarily just the 7 days of the week of those 7 planets in our body. That's not necessarily the gods we believe in. We believe in us as a piece of the whole, the all, the one. We are a piece of that, okay? Because that has this consciousness in everybody, then you can use everybody to evolve your consciousness, past, present, future. What I mean by that is, and I played it, Epiphany Lecture says it's great, but this is in many books. If you're doing mundane stuff, if you're trying to manifest money and stuff like that, well, you can call on an ancestor rather than calling on Jupiter. Now, I've used Jupiter, I've used Venus, and that's what I showed in that video. And I think for beginners, that's the best way to go because they may not necessarily feel comfortable using their ancestors. Plus, that's a different type of witchcraft that I practice. But I'm not just going to come out here and say, hey, do this, because it's part of a tradition, and that tradition is that tradition. But generally speaking, when I first started and I was just doing my own thing, I used Venus and I used Jupiter, I used these sigils because I saw them in the books and they worked. But you can use your ancestors to bring on money, to help you with finance, to bring on love, to pay your bills. But then when you use the planets, you're using it for within your body, for self-love, to evolve yourself, to love yourself. People say you can't love somebody else unless you love yourself. That's horseshit. Because people can love somebody else more than themselves and sacrifice everything they do for that other person. You know what I mean? And that is a type of self-love, but you're projecting on somebody else. But that's another video for another time. But I guess the whole point of what I'm trying to say here is thought forms, egregores. We can create them just the same way that they've been used. Now, creating a thought form, if you're the type of person who says, I can't create a thought form, I don't really know, I hate when he talks about that because I don't really know what he's talking about, blah, 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 blah. Well, anytime you use another god or goddess, anytime you use another deity, you are using a thought form that someone created. And that has evolved. Now, did the Venus, or maybe Aphrodite, or Diana, Lucifer, whatever, did that thing, was that around before and then evolved into a planet and now it's deified? Probably not, but who knows? Or was the planet always there and they say, yeah, that's Venus? Well, not Venus, whatever the oldest name is for Venus, and it would be in a whole different language that I can't even pronounce, but yeah, that's Venus. And she's been there forever, and she's the goddess of this. Who knows and who cares? The point is there's power in this because we give it power. Whoever gives it power. If there's enough people that give it power, then there's tremendous power in it. But there doesn't even have to be a lot. You can create your own thought form with only your own unconsciousness, unconscious, collective, whatever you want to call it, your own energy into this thought form that no one else knows the name of this thought form. You can create it and it will accomplish something for you and come back. Now, if you don't treat it right, if you just let it roam freely or whatever, it can evolve and start doing shit or whatever, and that's where the whole Book of Enoch shit with the 5th level of heaven, with all these giant, enormous beings that look like people without any faces. That's what I was trying to get at when I was talking about the whole, that's what this reminds me of. And God's about to get rid of all those guys because they should have went down to earth and helped the humans. Well, the humans created it. And maybe that means we're not supposed to do this, not supposed to create thought forms. Maybe over time that script, that story got changed and changed and changed to the point where it didn't even make sense to the person reading it, so they just made it make as most sense, most relevant to today as it possibly could. Who knows? But to me, that's what I get out of it. And that's how this stuff works. The unconscious collective, just like the conscious, the collective consciousness and the unconscious. So we have conscious and unconscious. So we're going to have both collective versions of that as well. Okay? And people say they're one and the same, and yeah, everything is the same. there is no opposites. Okay, everything that seems like it's an opposite is really just different degrees. So read the Kabbalion. But anyways, that's what I was trying to get at, was that simple fact right there, that the Bible, the Book of Enoch, all these things, it's a different way of teaching magic. Even if it's telling you not to do it, it's telling you what not to do and how not to do the bad things, and not necessarily not to do it. Not the uninitiated and the people who can't get past their own belief systems and programming and are too scared, because I think if they pass that line, they're going to get struck down by God, even though people are doing it every day and they're not getting struck down by God. That's there for them, and it serves a purpose. And who are we to make fun of that and say, they're ignorant, this and that? It's not their fault. They were programmed, and now they're playing out their programming. We're the lucky ones that were able to get past our own programming and break our programming. We're like those thought forms, those egregores that were able to break their programming and evolve. Because maybe we're just someone's thought form created, and the ones playing out the programming are the thought forms that still have a hold. The person still has a hold on them, and we're the ones that broke free. So no, you're not controlling my strings anymore, and maybe that's the point.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? You know who this is? Oh, shit. I forgot this isn't from my phone. The music doesn't just cut off. Oh, well. It's a good track. So I get out of the fucking driveway there. I'll mute it down, maybe. Oh, this does sound like a nice little intro. Bunch of drums. Wait for it. Smoke there, and then I'll stop. Holy fuck, it's early, man. Especially when I only went to bed at fucking 4 a.m. and I'm up at 8 fucking. Where'd you go? Alright, hopefully, because of, like I said previously stated, hopefully I'm not too fucking tired. I'm gonna be incoherent, but I'm pretty fucking tired. But maybe that's the point. The last video I just made, I ended it with that statement right there. Maybe that's the point. Maybe we are meant to break our programming. Maybe we are someone else's thought forms. I'll tell you this, whether or not we're someone's thought forms created, us human beings, and us awakened ones, us doing this evolution of the self, us who are trying to evolve mankind's speech, to evolve mankind's, to evolve mankind, I guess. Those of us who have already broken from our programming and are actively trying to self-transform and become our best version, all that shit. Maybe we were once someone's thought forms, like everybody else who hasn't broke free from their programming yet. Maybe we were. But I'll tell you this about that. When it comes to law, I've done a lot of study in these realms of law and using your birth certificate as a way to break free from the system, meaning you whenever you receive your certificate, you are, depending on which country, but it's either a certificate of birth and nothing more. It's either stated that you were in a symbolic way given up for adoption or stillborn. This is just the research and just the literature on it, and therefore you have to go and write a letter to the Attorney General here in Canada, and you have to tell them that you are not dead, you are alive, and they never respond. But there's a certain specific way you write that to them, so when they do not respond, it gives you the legal right to go and apply for a live birth certificate. And from there, that's the starting process of this. I haven't done that yet. I was supposed to do that a while ago and report on it, and I just decided to not and just keep doing magic instead. But what I'm trying to get at is everything with your signature on it. is a piece of paper that you signed. Well, not necessarily signed, but it's a piece of paper with your name on it. It's part of your programming. All right, who is this character, Corey LeBlanc? Who is this thought form of Corey LeBlanc? Well, he's this character who owns this house at this address, who owns this car, which is also at this address, who has 4 dependents under him, meaning he is a thought form married to another thought form who've had 4 thought form children. This is his life. He graduated high school after getting kicked out once or twice in grade 11, no once. Went to college only but briefly, and then was been working ever since off and on. Went to jail for a bit, had an opiate addiction, had a cocaine addiction. Cocaine addiction was first. I wouldn't say addiction, but anybody who does cocaine wants to keep doing cocaine. I've never smoked crack. I've only snorted the crap. And I call it crap because it's crap. And that was enough. So I had the foresight, and once again, it's probably Jupiter being in my Pisces, who is kind of a protector from, in one sense, he protects you from going overboard, but in the same sense, he also likes getting high there. So, it is what it is. But I was able to stay away from crack, and understanding that snorting it was addictive enough, and I enjoyed that enough that if I did the other shit, I'd probably be all done. But anyways, point is, all these pieces of paper have my name on it and have pieces of my life and have my programming and what I'm allowed and what I'm not allowed and what I do and what I've done. In order to break my programming, I'd have to rid myself of all these pieces of paper. I said that before because I'm married and I have a house and a car in my name. If I wanted to become a free man, like completely free, like off the grid free, go move into a mountain and be alone, kind of free, and live off the knowledge I have of being able to just, between manifest shit and use my head to get electricity and water and all that, I'd have to rid myself of all these papers, all these contracts I have. And that's not something I'm ready to do yet, unfortunately, as much as I am ready to do it, and I'd love nothing more to just, give everything up. I'm not ready to lose my wife in the process and not see my kids, so I'm not ready for that. Well, I probably won't ever be ready for that, and that's why I decided to do the magic within the system of, holding us back. But what I'm trying to say is, when you make a thought form, when you make a fucking servitor for yourself, you write down everything you want on the piece of paper that you want him to be. You have to have a name. He has to have an image, right? What's your driver's license? It's got your name. It's got your image. It's got your height. It's got your brown eyes, blue color. You know what I mean? If you have any tattoos, whatever. It's got all that information on it. What do you think that is? Okay. Anyways, I guess all this is just to say that whatever governing body you belong to, meaning whatever country you belong to, whatever governmental system, and there's systems within systems. So there's a municipal one that has me on record, and there's the provincial one that has me on record, and there's the RCMP. Especially those bad entities that get in trouble, they really need to keep information on those thought forms, those egregores. But point is, I think we are used as thought forms and egregores to a certain extent to control us. Now, I don't necessarily believe in Illuminati and elite groups, as most people do. I don't necessarily believe that there is an Illuminati. And if there is, I generally like to think the idea that they are doing this to evolve the species. But nonetheless, I believe that thought forms is really the way to fucking study magic, because you understand, to God, we're definitely thought forms, because all is in the mind of God. Therefore, right now, God's dreaming, and we're all part of His thoughts. Alright? But then when it comes down to this world, this earth, the way we have it structured, it almost resembles that we are creating our own entity, our own thought form on paper. Corey LeBlanc has all these things. But what do I really have out of this shit? Well, technically this house I'm staring at is parked in front of me right now. I don't know. I'm getting pretty incoherent right here. And I was just trying to make the simple point that I feel like
We're the thought forms, and our governing body is the manipulator, the controller. And until you start studying this and doing this for yourself, and realizing that the world isn't the way they painted it for you, then you will never be free from this. Now, there's the actual being free, like I said, living off the grid, getting rid of all your fucking contracts that bind you to them. Okay? Every one of those contracts that bind you to them are holding you back in one sense. But within this matrix, I hate calling it that, because matrix is like matriarch, mother, maternal. It's all the same kind of word, but and I know most people think a matrix is a bad thing, and I know like the way they use the word matrix, it is a bad thing. It definitely can't be a good thing, but I don't think that's the right word. But anyways, everything within this realm, even though we're being held back by something, because you you create a thought form to accomplish a certain task. Okay, what is our task? Well, our task is to work and pay taxes. You know, and if we're not working and paying taxes, then maybe we're on welfare or disability, out of everybody's way, being a good little boy or girl. So, yeah, I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. Is I think we're all thought forms. I think not that we're an actual thought form like the ones I create to further my magical abilities, but I mean we're being used as thought forms. We have to. Anyways, I think that's about as far as I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go take a fucking nap, and I'm gonna try to say this in a better way when I wake up. I'm still gonna put this on. Fuck it, I'm good as shit. It's stupid. Like my eyes are closing as I talk, and that's why my fucking glasses are on. But fucking anyways, yeah, that's good enough. It's fucking terrible. I feel like such a fucking idiot when I make videos like this, but in the same sense, fuck whatever. I'm a real person. Not just some fucking retard asshole just pretending to be above everybody. That ain't the fucking case. I'm not above anybody. I'm fucking probably below most if oh, okay, I'm just babbling. Let's get another rap going on. I'm babbling. I'm gonna start popping out. This is enough. All right, have a good one, guys. Let's get this all the way back. A little bit. All right, what's going on, everybody? Whew. All right. So I just had a little power nap. Lighting shit. That's even worse. Anyways, I had a little power nap there. While I watched over my video in the car, and it's pretty incoherent. A lot of babbling, a lot of bullshit. But the overall theme I was trying to relate was that whether we are or aren't, I think we're a thought form, because obviously we're flesh, we're skin, and we're not a thought form like us. But as above, so below, and all is mental, all is the mind of God. These two principles from the Kabbalion come into effect. If we are a vision of our Creator, if we were created in the likeness of our Creator, and if the Kabbalion is just like Bible and other texts that say that, the first part, the Kabbalion says we are in the mind of God, which means we're a thought form. And our thought forms are our mind, and that makes us the God of our thought forms. So, the Christian God right now, it's flipped. It says we were created in the image of Him, yet He was created because of us. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to flip the script here, because the God of the Bible isn't the God most should be worshiping. I'm not forcing that on anybody. I'm not telling everybody that's the truth or anything like that. But as far as I can tell, that's what it looks like to me. That's what everybody should know and be doing, is figuring out source and figuring out the best way to talk to their own subconscious mind. They should be meditating. They should be figuring out their own spirituality. You don't have to look at witchcraft. You don't have to look at ceremonial magic like I did. Find your own path. But we all have the subconscious mind. Yesterday when I was talking about the collective unconscious, all our unconscious minds or all our subconscious minds are linked to each other. Thus, when you perform magic, everybody who is going to affect your magic, everybody around you who you're going to be able to, like I've used the example before, because recently enough someone found, I think, 30 grand
at an ATM machine that the Brinks truck guy left there. Okay, so using that, I don't think she did a sigil to get that, but let's assume this woman did a sigil to get that. Well, I think there was 2 people before her that didn't see that money there. So what had to be happening in their mind? Maybe right before the first guy that was there before her, before he looked up, his wife called screaming at him for being gone too long. Maybe the girl there had kids in the car, so she was just going super fast and putting money in or taking money out, and she didn't look up. And the next person was chill, relaxed, looked up and saw the 30 grand. What had to happen to the Brinks truck guy to leave that money there? Okay? All these things were affected by someone in the moment. That woman prayed to God, okay, and it got through her subconscious mind, and they gave her the 30 grand. Or maybe she was practicing magic and she did something for it. Who fucking knows? But that's the example I like to use, because all our minds are linked through the subconscious. Thus, when you create a thought form, it goes to that collective unconscious that everybody's linked up. A lot of people like to call it the collective consciousness. To me, the collective consciousness is, I like to think of the collective consciousness as our language or vocabulary, all the different things like that, okay? The things that we use while we're conscious, while we're awake. Everybody who's awake, like not literally like awaken or awakening, but like just being conscious versus unconscious, like awake and asleep. Everybody who's awake speaking a language right now, that's all in the collective consciousness, because even the other languages maybe are in the collective consciousness all around kind of thing, but the collective unconscious. And really, it doesn't have to be a collective, it's just literally they're all linked up. But that's where the egregores, the thought forms go, and they go and they affect people. Technically, that's where magic also affects people. Magic, period, law of attraction, affects people through the unconscious mind. So if I was the one that found the 30 grand, and I made a sigil to get 30 grand, well, before that that person before me looked up to get that, with my subconscious is like, no, my subconscious sends their subconscious a message, or my thought form says, nope, someone calling you right now, you know what I mean? It affects that person's mind to call this person's mind. That's how it works. That's the path of least resistance. It pushes everything out of the way for you to get what you want. And a lot of people look at that like, well, that's not right. That's not right. Well, it may not be right, but as long as somebody's doing it, well, then who's to say, we can't go all on the honor system and just be like, yeah, we're not going to use magic. Let's just see where the fucking chips lie, because someone's always going to go behind your back and do it. Okay? The way I see it is, there's no such thing as cheating if everybody's playing by the same rules. Okay? So if one person is playing with these rules, whether it's the government, the deep state, the Illuminati, whoever, which, once again, I don't really believe in Illuminati. I believe in elite groups possibly doing magic and shit like that. Like, we know Queen Elizabeth had an astrologer, so obviously we know these royals and other people use magic. Astrology is a type of divination, after all, and using the planets to know where they are and figure shit out. You know, most people think it's just for fucking seeing the future or whatever those people think astrology is, some science of the devil, yet it's like up in the sky, not in the ground. But anyways, but the point is, I don't know if we're thought form or not. But I call on, once again, all is mind, and as above, so below, as within, so without. So once again, as above, so below. The Creator is the all. It's everything, and everything right now is in all of us. He just said, fuck it, I'm bored, nothing to do, this sucks. Well, I just shoot out my consciousness into everybody and see which parts of me figure it out and which parts don't. That's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is we have people programming us. We have programming. I mean, that's not a stretch. That's what people talk about more than anything. It's we're programmed. What do you do with an egregore? You program it. What do you do with a thought form and a servitor? You program it. What do you do with a tupula? You program it. What do you do with a Grigori? You program it. How do you program something? Well, you make a little book, or maybe at least a couple pages. But the more information you put into your servitor everywhere, the better it's going to fucking do its job. It can do many tasks at once, which is the benefit. You know, normally you do a sigil for one fucking thing, but when you do a servitor, you have its primary function, and you can list, I don't go past 5, but You know, you can have a primary function, a secondary function. When I list 5 things, it's all has to do with the same main idea. You know what I mean? But still, nonetheless, I can do many things. So from protect you and then get information to, you know, whatever you want. Those can be your 2 things because those are pretty separate. One's protection and what's going out. That's projection and receiving. So, well, not really, but point is, use thought forms to your benefit because someone already else is. Okay? Start doing magic, whether you think it's good or not. Someone else is doing it, whether they know it or not. That girl at work talking bad about you behind your back, it's magic. You know, the thing she says, if you accept it, if you let her affect you, she comes up to you and gives you a nasty look the one day and gets you angry, pissed off, and now you're at her level. Emotionally, you guys are on the same vibration. Well, every fucking bad thought she's ever said about you is now able to affect you. And she's not even practicing magic, but that's fucking magic. That's how that bitch brings you down, and that's how that bitch gets to you. Don't let that bitch get to you. Stay up, stay above. And you know, you really want to get her back, forgive her for everything she's ever fucking done and release the fucking karma and say, you know what, it's not worth my fucking time. I'm not going to deal with that negativity anymore. I'm not going to talk bad about the bitch even though she's talking bad about me. I'm not going to fucking pay her any fucking mind. That's going to be hard. But if you do that, you stop the circuit that's going to you. Bad thoughts go to you, bad thoughts back to her, so she keeps sending back to you, back to her. You keep fucking her up, she keeps fucking you up. But if you stop it once it gets to you, fucking no. Then she just going right back to her, going right back to her, going right back to her. She's fucking herself up. I'm done, you know? You don't even have to throw at her. That's okay because you didn't do anything. It's protection. Like, sorry, you blocked, and then she just hits himself in the face. Like shooting a big fucking something too heavy and she can't, you know, it hits her back in the face. Point is, yeah, and by asking for money, if other people have to leave the money lying there, well, fuck, who cares? Doesn't matter. Other people have done it before. You might have been the person that was supposed to find that money the one day, and then you got the call. You know that? Therefore, don't feel bad about it. Just fucking do it. Anyways, between these 2 videos, there should be enough to get at least a decent video out of. So I'll just put them both up. I hope you enjoyed. And a long time ago, I was going to release this monster of an episode about COVID-19 and how you don't have to worry about it and how strong our body is, how there's a field around us, how heart and earth are the same word, and it's because they both have a magnetic field around it and nothing can get through that magnetic field unless you let it in. And I found all these PDFs and scientific papers and all this shit that proved it. Okay, I was going to release it all and then I started having mad problems with my computer and my phones and all that, and truth be told, they've never been the same since. And I've since realized that I'm not going to give this thing any more thoughts, any more thought forms, any more energy to this thought form that is the coronavirus. And this is one of the reasons I've been talking about thought forms, so that I can not so subtly but subtly explain how thought forms work so people can start piecing it together that this thing is more dangerous as a thought form, as an idea, than an actual virus. And the stats prove that every day because there's more people getting infected but still a very small amount perishing, dying. And the people that are dying have weak immune systems. So that just proves it that you can get this thing by not being able to control your thoughts. You're more susceptible if you can't control your thoughts and you think this thing is fucking a thought form. But you're not necessarily going to die because, you know, your body's got your back. But if you let it in, it can affect you. So I'm not releasing that episode. I never am. If anybody wants any of that information, send me an email and I'll send you the PDFs, send you the files. I'll even send you my audio clips of how I said it, and you can fucking say it yourself. I don't really give a shit. Free of charge. I'm not going to charge anybody for anything, but, you know, it's up to you. But I'm not going to release it. It's out there. You can find it too. If you don't want to do the work, whatever. But anyway, so, yeah, have a good one. Alright, so I only got about 6 minutes or so maybe to finish up this last thought, because the one video was, you know,